Birajji.
Hello, Lalita ji. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So, welcome to our audio video series, Meet the Member.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be on this platform, and it's a great way to bring information to our members as well as others. So thank you so much for having me.
So, I was just going through your website, Brahmam, and I saw a lot of heads there. So, I know that you are into translations, but there are a lot of translations you are handling. So, we would like to know we would like to start by asking you about your professional journey.
Sure. It's an interesting thing that, and I always like to share it with our employees as well as our customers. It's a very
Uh-huh.
interesting journey. We are, as you may know, that we are a fairly old company now. We started off in 2000. And I was only 24 years old when we literally bumped into starting something of an enterprise. I used to work for a company called NIIT, where I was responsible for developing learning solutions. So or we also call them e-learning or online learning solutions.
Okay.
So originally when we started off the company in 2000, we used to do a lot of multimedia presentations, e-learning, online learning, CD based. Those days we used to have something called CBTs, computer based training material. Of course,
Okay.
you don't see any CDs now, but those days it used to be run from computer desks. So that was the time when we started developing multimedia heavy presentations, online learning with videos, simulations, and those kind of things. And incidentally, what happened was, some of our customers, and for the first 3 years, we were mostly doing work for Indian customers.
Hmm.
And incidentally, what happened was we were working with fairly large customers like Suzuki Motors, Bharti, Airtel. That point of time was known as Bharti Enterprises. So some of these clients that we were working for, incidentally, they also used to do a lot of exports.
Hmm.
And what happened was that they started approaching us for saying, look, you already made content for us in English, and we have some customers in Vietnam, in Thailand, or in some of the other countries where they don't know how to read our instruction books, or they don't know how to go through our training material, or they don't know how to view our presentations. Can you just help us out in using the same English stuff that you do into the other languages? So it was an extremely new thing for us. We back then we knew nothing about how to do translations, how to fit them in the those required softwares. So it was that point of time that the learning journey started for languages. And it took us a little bit of time to understand what tools work with what fonts, with what languages. And initially, we used to do some foreign languages.
Okay.
But way back in 2003, what happened was we took a decision to actually understand whether we could get into the languages work in a more organized manner. Till then, we were not actually going to customers asking for business in languages. But
Okay.
and that's when we studied the market, and we came across the information that actually translation and localization is an industry in itself. We were only doing work in the training and e-learning industry. So consciously we made a decision that we would start working with first Indian languages, because that was our core, and we understood those languages better than anything else. um, so we started approaching a lot of international companies to say, if you are looking for Indian languages, we would like to help you out. Well, to cut a long story short, there was a lot of learning that happened, and a lot of our customers also helped us out with challenges that we were facing with softwares and things like that. But I think by the end of 2007, we were in a fairly good shape in understanding what we could do with languages. And slowly after 2007, we started adding other languages like Asian languages, Middle East languages. And now we are doing roughly on a monthly basis, we are doing 60 plus languages, but we have an exposure to about 100 language pairs.
Oh,
And we kept adding services. So for example, we are traditionally very strong with like I said, multimedia related stuff, but then we started adding other translation services and things like that.
uh,
So that's pretty much how we came into the translation and localization industry.
that's wonderful. So translation is an industry that also many people don't know actually.
Correct, correct, correct. And we also didn't know till the time we, consciously made an effort to learn about it.
Right. So, in this long journey, I'm sure there must be many success stories and milestones. We would like to hear them from you.
I think the one of the great things about being an entrepreneur is, interestingly, when we get asked in an interview, we get asked about success stories. But I can sure tell you that there are a lot of failure stories as well. And there was an interview or a presentation in Germany 2 years back where I was invited to speak about all the failure stories.
Oh,
And why they had mentioned it was, they said, everybody comes and presents failure stories, but people don't to know how they can fail and how they can avoid failure.
correct.
So while it's an interesting question to answer from the success stories, yes, of course, there has been a huge success, I would say, and I would tend to speak about them quickly, and but I will also highlight couple of areas which everybody can learn from, some of the things that we also learn from our mistakes. So I think there are three or four really stand out. I think in the journey in 20 years, there are many, many success points, and it would be unfair to kind of go on and on about it. But I think there are three or four very extremely standout points. Um, I come from a background which is more into, none of them are entrepreneurs. My father or my parents or anybody in the background doesn't come from an entrepreneurial background. So
Mm,
coming from that background, it becomes a bit of a challenge to understand, to take risks and do business.
mm,
But from where we started to where we are now, I think we have done extremely well in terms of, number one, establishing the brand in the industry. So if you go into the international association, whether it is Gala or ATA or any of these, as
mm.
a brand, as a company name, logo, everybody recognizes who we are,
Oh,
and there is a an understanding behind that logo and brand, that we always write three words under our logo: quality,
oh,
communication, and commitment.
okay.
And
Mhm.
people understand that when we say this, we really mean it, for who we are associated with, whether it is our customers, whether it is anybody else as a stakeholder. So I think that from there, I think what I understand is we have created history by being, as an purely an Indian brand to start with. We have been able to establish that international reputation of being a really reliable company, and we are very well recognized in the industry. The second one is that we have been, been part of, this industry for such a long time, that I think over a period of time, when we were recognized, I was actually provided with an opportunity to become an industry ambassador for 3 years through Gala.
That's great.
So I had served from 2015 to 2018 on the Gala ambassador panel, which basically talks about a position to talk about language as an industry to people around you. So I was ambassador for India. So during that time, we held a lot of membership meetings,
Oh,
tried and involved a lot of networking. So we had two Gala events during that time in India also, by the way. So
mm,
all of that, we were able to do during that time, bring Gala into India for a couple of events. We had some good turnouts and networking events during that
mm,
time. So I think apart from that, from a from a perspective of organizational success, I think we have been awarded by SAP for our collaboration with them. That's one of the standout areas. And I think one of the other success stories I would think is in terms of our approach towards
mm.
engaging not just people from India as our employees, but today we have employees working from Brazil, from Philippines, from Hong Kong. So it's a global workforce today that we have achieved, and we can work round the clock 24/7. So that I think a great achievement when we look at from where we started.
Yes. So the culture of the organization is global.
Yes, I mean, we
So for
started doing
all,
this thing some time back, and I think now we can truly say that we are global with all kinds of employees from different
great.
places, basically. Even in India, we are not
Uh,
centered around just one or two places. We have employees from different states who are
okay.
contributing, as permanent employees.
Yeah, that's really wonderful.
Thank you.
And you must be definitely having some future plans of growth or expansion. But before we come to this question, I would like you to explain us. I saw a lot of verticals in the translation sector itself.
Yeah.
So there is mobile app, there is website. So can you just give cursory look on that?
Yeah. So I think when we talk about the current situation and what we are looking at in the future is, I think currently we the a large part of the chunk that we have seen growing in the last 2 to 3 years is the machine translation related work.
Right.
So, and within that, I think we are looking at two different types of work. One is purely data collection work, which is, there are, MT companies which are approaching us to create data and give it to them, which is both audio as well as, textual data. But then we have those which is related to, working on already machine translated content, which is machine translation post editing. And then we have those projects which is MT plus post editing.
Okay.
So I think this channel has grown for us in the last 2 years by around 35% in terms of the volume of growth, which we are seeing from 2018 significantly for Southeast Asian languages as well as Indian languages. And in certain cases, I would even say some of the Middle East languages, like Arabic is, kind of growing quite rapidly. So that is one area which we have seen growing, and we feel that for Indian languages, it is going to grow like big time in the next 3 years. Um, and we've been in touch with a couple of MT companies who are currently showing interest in doing more work by investing in India for these languages. Traditionally, they were never thinking of it because there's always that feeling that India is about English. But slowly, that mental framework is changing in companies, and they want to invest more in India. That's one area. The second area I think is which became more prominent, and it has speeded up during the COVID situation, is a lot of companies who were not going digital. They are now looking at creating their mobile apps and web apps. And now that language, now that they know that they are going to be investing in the digital side of things, they are saying, okay, if we are already going to be spending a lot on the digital area, then why not, if there are digital products, especially software and these kind of things, then why not localize our material in other languages, which will
Yes.
just spread our market into other languages. So I think these are two areas where we are seeing a lot of inquiries and certainly a lot of growth. The third one I think is the media one, which is video based, and you are already doing a video interview instead of a written interview. So
Yeah.
that's kind of reflective of that situation. There's a boom in the video side, both in the entertainment as well as education. So I
Okay.
think these are the three areas that we ourselves are seeing our growth. And for our industry, I think that's, if people want to build up their the skill set and the project management and their resource base, I think there's plenty of work coming into India for these three areas, definitely.
That's wonderful. And about the future plans?
Yeah, so I think there are two things that we are focusing on. One is, of course, building up more capacities in these three areas. We have, in fact, one of the things that we are focusing on is partnerships. um, if you I'm not sure if you are aware, but we recently did a partnership with a French company called Mediavent Technologies, which is into media related automation. So basically they have an artificial intelligence based platform which helps localizing video and media content on the fly. So you can do transcriptions, subtitling, even dubbing, and you can do a lot of the automation within that. So you tend to save about 30 to 40% time, effort, and money by using those kind of platforms. And that's a trend that we are looking to integrate into our system. So that's one partnership that we have done recently. But going back maybe 3 years back, we have had other partnerships that we have done. So we have partnered with one of our member companies called Prudel Labs,
Okay.
which is into internationalization services. So anybody who is looking at localizing their software, or looking to localize their mobile apps and stuff like that, they provide the intermediate internationalization service, which a lot of the software companies are not aware of. So what we do is we partner with them in doing the internationalization layer for software and mobile, and then we take on the language services on top of that. So that's the other partnership that we have done. Then we
Yeah.
have a partnership with in the MT with Omniscient Technologies, which is based out of Singapore and Thailand. And then the last one is in automating some of the. So we'll be coming out with. I don't want to disclose everything today. Of course, there are some plans which we want to launch in the next 3 to 4 months time. But we are working with also SmartCat, the cat-based, the online cat-based tool to develop an online system as well for cloud-based translation systems. So long story short, we are going to be focusing a lot more on technology-based service providing to the customer, so that customers don't have to wait for, let's say we are sleeping at night in India, they can always go online on our system, order translations, or see the status of their projects or whatever. So we are going
Yeah.
to be investing more and more on technology related stuff to help not just our internal employees, but also to provide better services to our customers. And we are one of the first companies in India actually to automate the vendor side. So if you talk to a lot of our vendors, they don't
Mhm.
need to actually send physical invoices, or they don't need to keep a copy of the POs or anything. So we have issued a login password to them, and this has been happening for the last 3 years, not today. They can just log in. All the projects are outsourced to them through the online system. All their projects are seen in their dashboard. At any point of time, they can create invoices. So that kind of system we are one of the first companies to implement that for the vendor side, and they just don't need to worry for any of their details that are sent to them in and track emails or things like that. So technology is helping us in helping build relationships better, both on the customer as well as vendor partner side.
So I think
That's
work, it is
good.
becoming smarter and smarter day by day.
Absolutely smarter, and I think it is more convenient also for people who are associated with us.
Yes, absolutely. That's right. Then I also saw that you have many programs like internship programs,
Correct.
not only India but even outside.
Yes,
So
correct.
interesting because there are many people, who don't know where to go, where to learn.
Right.
Can you tell us more about it?
Sure. I'll be happy to. And this is one which is very close to my heart, and I'll tell you why. Because when I passed out of my MBA in earlier on, before we started the company in late 1990s, one of the problems I always faced was looking for internships and jobs. It was a bad time around 99 98 to 2000. It was a very bad time in the market. People for jobs, it was an extremely difficult situation. In fact, for qualified people like us who were out of the MBA, it was very difficult to find good jobs. And so one of the things that I always had in mind, that if I were to get an opportunity to start company, we would definitely look at encouraging people who don't have a lot of experience, freshers and things like that. So when we started the company, from then itself, we were running a very limited level of internship program. So like I said, we were I was working with NIT, so we started asking NIT people to actually send some students on part-time basis for internship. So 3 month internship, 2 month internship, and even from day one, we used to pay them some stipend. Well, it was very nominal, but we used to say that we will not do it free of cost. We will give you something, even if it is not too much. So from day one, we had this value proposition that we will provide certain opportunities to people who otherwise in the industry, or even in the software industry, it's difficult to make a breakthrough. And I can confidently tell you that we've found really some talented young kids with a fire in their belly who have contributed hugely to our company's success and growth. I mean, and today we are running different levels of internship programs. So we are running one for the Indian universities, and one we are doing for foreign. So we have got a tie-up with Brigham Young University right now in the US, and last year we spoke to them for two set of so that's the starting point last year. But this year we are also working with Jadavpur University and some of the others. So I would be very happy if universities can approach us. We have plenty of internship opportunities, especially kids who are into the language area and who would like to specialize in different areas. So starting from sales and marketing to project management to linguistics, we have plenty of areas where from time to time we do require people to do internship programs where we have fairly challenging projects. So recently we have, in fact, we are speaking to also Trinity College here in Dublin also to to help us with, for example, digital marketing related areas in internship. So there are plenty of opportunities that we are looking for interns, and we'll be very happy if people approach us or universities approach us to help us in getting the right set of talent, because talent, I feel, is the difference between what you are and what you can be.
That's right. So I think these internship programs are, via media for all these youngsters also
Yes,
to get
it's
into
a
this.
win-win situation. For them, it's a way to collect experience and the actual feel of what's going on in the industry. For us, it's a way to hunt talent.
Huh. Okay. Then you also have blogs and webinars. I've seen lot of things are happening on your website. I've seen. So that's it.
Yeah,
And the blog is also very interesting. I was reading them yesterday. It's
right.
about language and many other languages also.
Correct. So, yeah, webinar as a series we are doing. There are basically two different types of webinar focus that we are doing. One is more generic in nature, where we are talking about market trends and things like that. But more recently, we are focusing about specific issues with different services. So, for example, next week we have a webinar which is focusing on right to left language challenges, and this is, we hear from our clients and from a lot of people that they face different types of challenges with right to left languages, for example Arabic, whether it comes to media related localization or even, let's say, website localization, because there are different tools and then there are font issues and things like that. So we are trying to bring across both an area where we want to say that, okay, there is no need to worry if you are facing challenges in these areas. There are solutions
Yeah.
to these problems. So we are trying to do a mix of practical issues,
Okay.
specific practical issues which the industry is facing, both from the customer as well as from the vendor side. And then the other ones are more related to general market trends, and we also do announcement of partnerships and things like that. So yes, the whole idea of our webinar is that we do two webinars a month. One is a partner webinar and one is our own webinar. So for example, the next week is a partner webinar where we do a joint kind of a webinar with the partner. So currently we have 4 partnerships. Actively, we are discussing 2 more partnerships.
Okay.
So like you say, the collaboration as for a future growth is, I mean, this is one of the ways we want to grow in the future with partners. So
Okay.
the webinar is something as a platform that we involve our partners on a regular basis to take it forward. And blogs,
That's
yes, I think blogs traditionally we've noticed that there are a few blogs where people read them quite a lot. We don't know the reason why some blogs are very popular, but we found that there is a lot of traffic for some of the blogs. So we are
yeah.
very encouraged to understand that probably these are more searched on the web, and people are actually looking for that kind of a content. So as we go forward and see what kind of trends are developing on the blogs, we have planned to release between 2 to 4 blogs a month on a monthly basis. So
Okay.
as things catch up, I mean, we just stopped a little bit in December, January, because December, January, everybody is on a holiday. So we just didn't do any blogs during that time. But again, from January onwards, we will start kind of getting to our normal course of doing the blog. So there will be between 2 to 4 blogs on a monthly basis, and then we are also looking at doing some blogs specific to some languages. So not just in English, but in other languages also. As
Okay. That's great. So it was wonderful talking to you.
Thank you, Lalita, for giving this platform, and I really appreciate taking your time and patience to bring across. And thank you so much. Look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you so much.